I still remember the exact moment Derek fired me. It was a Wednesday morning in mid-April, the kind where the Denver air felt crisp through the windows and the office buzzed with that false calm before quarterly earnings hit. I was deep in the metrics. Conversion reports, regional breakdowns, projections stacked up like puzzle pieces waiting to fit. Then the door slammed open. No knock, no courtesy, just Derek, barreling in, his face red and movements sharp, like he was putting on a show. "Sloan," he snapped, flinging a manila folder across my desk. It slid and stopped at my elbow. "We need to talk." My stomach tensed, but I kept my posture steady. 4 years I'd worked under Derek, and if I'd learned one thing, it was how to stay composed when everything else screamed chaos. I gestured to the chair opposite me. He ignored it. Instead, he stood tall, puffed up with self-importance. "The executive board's restructuring the leadership team," he said, like reading off a script. "We need bold vision right now, not caretakers." I raised an eyebrow. "You're letting me go?" He didn't flinch. "Let's not make it personal. You're being released, effective immediately. No review, no warning, not even a nod to the fact that my digital strategy division had just outperformed every other unit this quarter. Just me, 35, composed, and apparently disposable." He stood over me like a man already writing my exit memo. The ceiling lights buzzed faintly above. The room smelled faintly of burnt coffee. My chest tightened, but my voice didn't waver. "May I ask why?" His answer sliced through the air. "You lack leadership presence. You're good with reports, not people. This industry needs a commanding force, someone who fills the room." I sat still, not because I was weak, but because I already knew something he didn't. I wasn't just Sloan Mercer, Director of Digital Strategy. I was Sloan Mercer, 90% shareholder of Apex North Media. And in 48 hours, I'd be sitting in his chair. "I understand." Derek blinked, just once, like he hadn't expected that answer. I think he wanted a reaction, a slammed door, a tearful plea, something loud and messy to validate whatever narrative he'd cooked up. But I'd learned a long time ago how to stay composed in rooms full of egos. "I'll need your badge and laptop by end of day," he added stiffly, already turning for the door. "IT will deactivate your access at 5 p.m. HR has your severance details." I stood, offered my hand. "Thank you, Derek. I appreciate the clarity." He paused, like he didn't know what to do with my calm, then gave a quick, awkward shake. "Good luck out there," he muttered, like he'd just claimed some kind of victory. He walked out. I sat back down, and I breathed. There was a photo on my desk. My father, Arthur Mercer, grinning at the ribbon cutting for Apex North Media's first office, back when it was still a 2-floor unit in downtown Boulder. The same company Derek had just released me from. My hands didn't tremble. My heart didn't race. In fact, I felt still, because what Derek didn't know, what no one in this building knew, was that I wasn't just a department head. 2 weeks ago, everything had changed. I gently touched the photo's frame and whispered, "You told me to wait, Dad. Wait until it mattered." And now it mattered. Let me take you back for a moment so you understand why this wasn't just a firing. It was a spark. My father, Arthur Mercer, built Apex from scratch. No capital, no contacts, just a vision and a rented space. He believed in 2 things: innovation and people. To him, a company wasn't about margins or press releases. It was about those who showed up, who cared. I grew up under that roof, weekends spent curled beneath his desk with crayons, while he drew up prototypes and marketing ideas. He'd lift me up onto the server racks and say, "Sloan, this is what building something real looks like." And when we lost him 5 years ago to a sudden stroke, I was 30, grieving, freshly graduated from my MBA, and more determined than ever to protect what he built. He used to say, "If you want to lead it, you've got to know every inch of it." So I started at the bottom. Support, ops stops, logistics, marketing. And I didn't just learn Apex, I became it. But then Derek Vance came along. Derek arrived about a year after my dad passed, polished, confident, full of buzzwords and borrowed charisma. Wharton MBA, designer suits, and a handshake that hovered too long, just enough to feel rehearsed. The board loved him. To them, he was the fresh blood Apex needed, an efficiency expert, a visionary. To me, he was a storm coming, a man who measured worth by how loud you spoke in meetings, not the weight of your ideas. He wasn't about people, he was about power. One of his first moves was restructuring departments, corporate speak for laying off the veterans who'd built this place from the inside, people who remembered when Apex ran on whiteboards and instinct. They were replaced by fast-talking consultants and spreadsheet jockeys, with no real connection to our roots. Meetings became performance theaters. If an idea didn't come from Derek or one of his favorites, it was shot down before it landed. The collaborative culture my father nurtured? It began to rot. Still, I stayed. I thought I could preserve the soul of Apex from the inside. Hold on to what Dad built. I poured everything I had into leading my team with heart. We pitched bold ideas, innovative tools. When I proposed a scalable content funnel that would have saved us millions, Derek waved it off as too abstract. A week later, he pitched the same strategy, almost word for word, as his own. I bit my tongue. Again. It wasn't just me he overlooked, it was anyone who didn't flatter him. Soft-spoken engineers, detail-fondred analysts, women who dared to lead without swagger. Derek wanted disciples, not equals. But I didn't play for him, I played for the company. Late nights blurred into early mornings. My team and I built a new media automation platform from scratch, one that doubled client retention in 2 quarters. Industry blogs lit up with praise. At the launch party, Derek raised a glass and toasted his leadership. He never once mentioned us. I stood at the back of the room, arms folded, watching. My team deserved that credit, but I didn't make a scene, I just smiled and kept building. Some nights, alone in my office, I'd wonder, am I not enough? Was he right? Too quiet? Too soft? But then I'd think of my father. And remember, he built an empire without ever raising his voice. It wasn't me. It was Derek. He only recognized value when it shouted. I had allies, though, quiet, steady beacons, and we were far from done. If you've ever been underestimated, overlooked, or made to feel small in a room you helped build, you're not alone. Hit subscribe and stay with me, because what happened next? It changed everything. Nora from accounting used to slip me a coffee when I looked like I was running on fumes. "You're the real deal, Sloan," she'd say with a wink. And Tom in engineering, he'd always give a subtle nod whenever I floated an idea, even if Derek bulldozed it seconds later. They saw me, even when he didn't know. And that was enough to keep me going. One night, I was buried in campaign data, way past hours, when Derek strolled past my open office door. The desk lamp cast soft gold over the stacks of paper, coffee-stained mugs, and whiteboard sketches behind me. He leaned in, that same smug tilt to his mouth. Burning the midnight oil again? Admirable, but dedication doesn't win wars. I met his gaze, exhausted but unmoved. "Maybe not," I said, "but it builds what survives them." He chuckled, dismissive, and walked on. Like I was a footnote. But what he didn't know was I was about to rewrite the whole chapter. It happened on my 35th birthday. Sunlight filtered through my Denver apartment window, and for once the world felt still. I never celebrated Big Baracuna. Too busy most years. But that morning felt different, like something had shifted. Mid-morning, my phone buzzed. It was Mr. Leeds, our longtime family lawyer. His voice was warm, but laced with purpose. "Sloan," he said, "your father left something for you. You weren't to receive it until today." Curious, I drove across town to his office. Same cozy corner suite with its mahogany shelves and the familiar scent of leather-bound law books. He handed me a heavy envelope, sealed with my dad's wax stamp, the one he only used for moments that mattered. Inside was a letter, written in my father's steady hand, In a second sheet, something thicker, legal parchment. I opened the letter first. Sloan, it read, "If you're holding this, you've turned 35, and that means you're ready." I never doubted it. I watched you work harder than anyone. I saw the nights, the sacrifices, the grace under fire, and I knew one day you'd need more than a seat at the table. So I gave you the table. I blinked, my chest tightening. I reached for the second document, a trust agreement. It named me as the controlling shareholder of Apex North Media. 90% ownership, voting rights effective immediately. I sat there, stunned. "Is this real?" I whispered. Mr. Leeds smiled gently. "Very real. Your father made sure it was untraceable until today. It's ironclad. The board doesn't know, not unless you tell them." I sat across from Mr. Leeds, my hands resting on the heavy folder. Adrenaline buzzed under my skin like electricity. "Why not sooner?" I asked. He gave a faint, almost bittersweet smile. "Your father wanted you to see the company for yourself, to learn who would reveal their true colors before you made any decisions." That landed like a wave crashing through me. All those years of being sidelined, dismissed, subtly excluded from key projects, Dad had seen it. He'd known I'd need more than a title. I'd need leverage. And now I had it. But I didn't rush in, fists raised. That wasn't how my father led. And it wasn't how I would either. I asked Mr. Leeds to walk me through the steps. "With your shares," he explained, "you can call a shareholder meeting and set the entire agenda." I nodded. "Not yet. I'll let you know when." I wanted Derek to relax, to believe he'd won. Let him underestimate me one final time. 2 weeks later, he fired me. That was my opening. I texted Mr. Leeds that afternoon. "It's time, prepare everything." His reply came instantly. "Understood. Meeting in 5 business days." The day I was let go, I packed up slowly, just a few things. My team's farewell mug, 2 notebooks of strategies Derek had ignored, and the framed photo of Dad at the company's first product launch. The office was a buzz of whispers. Some coworkers gave me sympathetic nods. Others avoided my eyes altogether. No one asked, but I knew what they were wondering. Did she fail? Get pushed out? I walked into the Denver sunlight and smiled, small, private, and powerful. They thought this was the end. It wasn't. The next few days, I prepared. I met Mr. Leeds at a quiet downtown cafe. Over espresso and legal briefs, he handed me the final paperwork. "You're sure?" he asked. "This will drop like a grenade in that boardroom." I met his eyes. They pulled the pin when they fired me. I also sat down with Caroline Winters, the trustee who'd managed the Mercer Trust. She slid a report across the table. "Here's your ownership confirmation, and a report on Derek's leadership. Flat revenue, high turnover, poor retention, optics over outcomes. He'll sink this place in 2 years if he stays," she said. I nodded. "He won't." By Monday, the rumors were flying. Did she quit? Why is HR so cagey? Derek acted normal, but silence? Silence was my ally. That night, I stood in front of my bedroom mirror, slipping into a navy blue suit I'd bought years ago but never found the right moment to wear. It was sharp, clean-lined, tailored to mean business. The kind of suit you wear to take back a room. I didn't write a speech, just a few quiet lines. The truth would be enough. Tuesday morning, I walked through the front doors of Apex North Media. The receptionist looked up, blinked twice, but didn't stop me. I gave her a polite nod and continued to the elevators. Mr. Leeds was waiting. "They're already inside," he said, eyes steady. "Derek thinks it's a strategic review." I smoothed my jacket. Perfect. Then I stepped forward. The boardroom door clicked open. Derek was mid-sentence, gesturing over a slide deck, voice full of authority, until he saw me. "Sloan," he snapped, "this meeting is for board members only." I calmly set a folder on the table and smiled. Exactly. Then I took the seat at the head of the table. Silence fell. Derek's eyes narrowed, confusion bleeding into alarm. "This is a board meeting. Employees aren't. I'm not here as an employee, I said evenly. I'm here as the majority shareholder. Chairs shifted, backs straightened. A few board members exchanged quick glances. Mr. Colby, a longtime board member who'd served alongside my father, reached for the document I'd slid his way. Is this accurate? He asked, scanning the pages. Yes, I replied. 90% of Apex shares were placed in trust and transferred to me on my 35th birthday. All legal. Notarized. And in effect now. Derek gave a dry, stunned laugh. You can't be serious. Why would your father? Because he trusted me, I cut in. And because he knew this company needed someone who actually cared. I opened the second folder. As majority shareholder, I've called this meeting to address executive performance, starting with the CEO. Derek shot to his feet. This is a coup, a vendetta. Didn't flinch. I'm not asking, I'm acting. I slid the performance report across the table. Employee satisfaction is down 38%. Turnover's up 47%. Revenue has flatlined while our competitors are growing quarter over quarter. And 3 unresolved discrimination complaints sit buried in HR. Derek's face reddened. Lavish corporate travel, inflated bonuses, and falsified reporting, I continued. It's all here. You're twisting this for revenge, he sputtered. I don't need to twist anything, I replied, meeting his eyes. I have facts. You counted on no one holding you accountable. I leaned in. Vens, today. I pulled out the final document. Effective immediately. I'm moving to remove Derek Vance as CEO. My 90% vote carries it. The secretary blinked. You don't need a second? Not with the majority, I said. Mr. Colby nodded. Motion stands. Derek slammed the table, then stormed out, rage twisting his face. For the first time, he didn't look powerful. He looked small. I turned to the board. This company deserves better. So do its people. Starting today, we give them that. Mr. Colby smiled. Welcome back, Sloan. But I didn't stop there. This wasn't revenge. It was restoration. That Monday, I called an all-hands meeting. The room filled slowly. I stood alone. No script. Some of you know me, I began. Some only know what you've heard. I'm here to rebuild trust. I smiled. I was fired last week. Told I wasn't what this place needed. I didn't argue. Laughter broke the tension. Leadership isn't about noise. It's about vision, respect, results. I'd spent weeks listening to interns, engineers, custodial staff. I promoted Maya from customer service to head client experience. I brought back Kevin, the developer Derek pushed out. I gutted HR, fired toxic managers, launched people first. No more ceilings, no more silence. The shift was slow, then sudden. Laughter returned. Desks filled with life. One day I passed a whiteboard that read, She came back. Not she won, she came back. That stayed with me. A year later, I stood at the glass doors. CEO. Suit crisp, heart quiet. Our best quarter in 5 years. The office felt alive. Behind my desk, a photo of my father. We did it, I whispered to him one night. This wasn't just a win. It was home. If this story moved you, tap like, share it, and subscribe for more stories of quiet strength and redemption. Drop a comment. I'd love to hear your story too.